What's up, Taiwan? Good evening. I'm Ethan Liu with 10 minutes of news from here in Taiwan and around the world. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen says the country will not back down from defending its sovereignty. Her comments follow the release of China's white paper on Taiwan, the first since Xi Jinping took power. The report lays out how Beijing intends to take Taiwan using force if necessary. Bing Wang reports.
Just after China's military ended unprecedented drills, Beijing released its first white paper on Taiwan since Xi Jinping came into power. The report, titled The Taiwan Question and China's Reunification in a New Era, reiterates Beijing's aspirations to claim Taiwan using force if necessary. In it, China also blamed Taiwan's ruling Democratic Progressive Party, or the DPP, of deepening tensions between them. Beijing sees the DPP as leaning towards independence. Taiwan's President Tsai Ing-wen slammed the document.
台湾人民希望的是我们要和平，我们不挑衅，我们不升高冲突，但捍卫主权跟国家安全，台湾绝对不退缩。
A week before the white paper's release, U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi visited Taiwan, the highest-level U.S. official to do so in 25 years. This was seen as U.S. support for Taiwan. In response, Beijing conducted live-fire drills around the country. Analysts say the white paper that followed is more hostile than the previous documents released by Beijing.
3年的那个白皮书，那时候其实两岸氛围算是很好的，所以它的这个语气啊，相较的都是还算是缓和。到2000年呢，那时候因为阿扁刚当选总统，而且经历了所谓的996台飞弹危机的这个事情，那它相较之下语气的话再强调多。我们只要在比较这个新的这个白皮书的话，这个杀伐之气很重啊。
China is now putting more pressure on Taiwan, both rhetorically and militarily, raising fears of an imminent Chinese invasion. But there's little anxiety on the streets of Taiwan. Most people here stand with their president, and like her, they won't be cowed by Beijing, ready to do what they can to defend Taiwan's sovereignty. Patrick Chen and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's Foreign Ministry also released a statement rejecting China's claims.
当然，中方的整个声明呢，绝对是违背的两岸的一个现状跟一个事实，当然也是违背这个国际法。中方的这个行径呢，他们只是借这个美国的众议院的议长 Nancy Pelosi 来台湾访问，做一个借口来破坏现状，以借机生事哦。那想要企图这个创造一个新的新常态，来恐吓台湾的人民。
For more on what the white paper tells us about China's plans for Taiwan, our reporter Rai-Ho Kilpatrick spoke with Lev Nachman, a political scientist at Taiwan's National Zhengzhi University.
What parts of the language of this white paper stood out to you?
To me, perhaps the most striking thing was the way that they talked about one country, two systems in a Taiwanese context. This was maybe the most detailed outline of what one country, two systems for Taiwan would look like from the PRC, in kind of the most detailed language that we've seen from them before.
In the Hong Kong context, we talk about one country, two systems pre-2019 and one country, two systems post-2019. In the immediate years after the handover, they were fairly hands-off, and there was still a lot of faith in the future of one country, two systems. But do you think this white paper is explicitly saying, the kind of one country, two systems that would be proffered to Taiwan will very much be the present day Hong Kong, one country, two systems, and not the early pre-handover version?
Very much so. I think this white paper is a much more drastic buildup and drastic framework for what one country, two systems in Taiwan would look like. I don't think there would be that kind of peaceful few years post-implementation that we saw in Hong Kong. Even though they're trying to outline this as a similar approach to Hong Kong, they even mention in the white paper, they acknowledge the Hong Kong protests and say that they've taken measures to make one country, two systems different in response to the Hong Kong protests. So, whatever version of this we're getting is going to be likely a more repressive version, and one that takes Taiwanese autonomy and Taiwanese sovereignty even less into consideration. The idea of giving Taiwanese people some amount of limited sovereignty in the way we saw in Hong Kong seems very unlikely in whatever new scheme that they're designing.
China says its large-scale military exercises around Taiwan have ended, but says it will continue regular patrols. It is a clear sign that Beijing intends to keep the pressure on Taiwan. China launched the drills in response to a visit to Taipei by U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi. She says China is now trying to establish a new normal in squeezing Taiwan's strategic space. Louise Watt reports.
Over for now. A week after China began unprecedented large-scale military exercises around Taiwan, it announced the sea and air drills had ended. But Chinese media suggests the country has no intention of letting up its pressure on Taiwan, which China claims as its own and vows to one day control.
战区部队将紧盯台海形势变化，持续开展练兵备战，常态组织台海方向战备警巡，坚决捍卫国家主权和领土完整。
China's exercises in 6 areas around Taiwan came in the wake of the visit to Taipei of U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, the highest-level U.S. official to step foot in Taiwan in 25 years. Pelosi condemned China's show of force.
What we saw with China was they were trying to establish sort of a new normal, and we just can't let that happen.
In response to China's drills, Taiwan's military released this video of its forces carrying out anti-invasion exercises. It shows Chinese warships at close quarters in the Taiwan Strait. Taiwanese officials say China has used Pelosi's visit as an excuse to prepare for an invasion. And they're hoping for more weapons. Pelosi's delegation says arms sales were discussed, and they're taking steps to process weapons deals more quickly. Countries including the US and Britain have spoken out against what they call Beijing's increasingly aggressive behavior in recent months. But it doesn't seem like their words will be much of an impediment to China carrying out such exercises again. Chris Ma and Louise Watt for TaiwanPlus.
Despite China saying it has concluded its military drills, some experts say Beijing could increase its military presence in the Taiwan Strait in the future. Taiwan's Defense Ministry reported 11 Chinese fighter jets crossing the median line of the strait on Thursday. Experts say that the drills, which were in response to a visit by U.S. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, were more about politics and less about military intimidation.
Under the context of face-saving exercise, China wants to do just enough for its domestic audience, but not enough to actually provoke a collective response from all of the collective Asian nations surrounding Taiwan.
A Lithuanian delegation led by Deputy Transportation Minister Agnė Vaiciukevičiūtė wrapped up their tour of Taiwan on Thursday with a call to deepen cooperation between democracies.
Taiwan is our very close friend, and Taiwan is a booming economy. So the priority for us as Lithuania to find new markets is so natural. This is the focus to economy, to cultural exchange, and to finding a common ground. But of course, we need to understand that democracies needs to support each other and needs to find a common ground for further cooperation.
The 11-member group arrived in Taiwan on Sunday for a 5-day visit that included stops at the southern port of Kaohsiung and an electric vehicle producer in Taichung. They're looking to forge industrial ties and cooperate on aviation, maritime shipping, and green transportation. The deputy minister described her trip as a very good start. A special art exhibition is on display in Taipei. These pieces were all created by artificial intelligence, including one based off NASA research data. The brainchild of a Turkish group called Ouch, 3 pieces were created specifically for the Taiwan show, incorporating local music and ocean views. The exhibition runs through mid-September in the capital's Huashan 1914 Creative Park. Thank you for watching What's Up Taiwan. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, today we leave you with images of Sydney and Melbourne landmarks lit up in pink to honor the iconic Australian entertainer Olivia Newton-John, who died aged 73 on Monday. I'm Ethan. Take care, and I'll see you next time.